Well, I do like a dystopian futuristic tale. So I was very interested to check out Vesper. So this is the new, I think it's a French film, right? It is from Kristina Buožytė and Bruno Samper. They both directed and both co-wrote the film with Brian Clark. The film is also produced, I think, by both of them. Hmm. Da, 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 da. Is it produced by both of them? I think no. I think it's okay. So Kristina Buožytė, she produces along with Davia Jovazin, Asta Lucalit, Alexis Perrin. Then it's executive produced by Vitalagius Zukas, Mike Shermer, Sebastian Raybould, Cecile Gaget, and Louise Bolsan. It is associate produced by Jean Vangdal Amas, Nick Ford, RJ Hendricks, and Nabil Ben Yadir. It is co-produced by Florent Steiner, Benoit Roland, and Guillaume Natis. It is line produced by Arturus Davinilis and Thomas Schober. Music is from Dan Levy. Cinematography is Felikas Abracascas. Boy. It's edited by Suzanne Fenn and Justin Mackenzie Piers. Casting is Des Hamilton, Georgia Topley, and Dontas Simukaskas. Production design is Ramondas Dikius and Ramanas Rastaskuskas. Costume design is Dovil Chibaluskas, Christophe Pidri, and Florence Schultes. Hair and makeup, we got Jogita Globite, Gidir Jarukatai, Egil Mikalukisis, Ula Pakalansky, Jolanta Regiliskin, Carolina Ruxanit, and Vestina Verbikitit. I have butchered everyone's name, so apologies with that. Now our cast. We have Vesper, who is played by Raffiella Chapman. Her dad, her dad, Darius, is played by Richard Brake. His brother Jonas is played by Eddie Marzan. Then there is Camellia, played by Rosy McEwen. McEwen, even. Jug is played by Melanin Gaydos, and Elias is Edmund Dunn. There's also Boz, played by Madvej Burkavov. Dink, Nujas Buslekevius. Oed, played by Marius Demiskis. Mo, Marcus Immortus. Beck is Titus Rucus. And Fitz is Marcus Sagatis. The gist of the film, which is a little easier to pronounce and say, set after the collapse of Earth's ecosystem. Vesper, a headstrong 13-year-old girl surviving in the remnants of a strange and dangerous world with her ailing father Darius. When Vesper finds the mysterious Camellia alone and disorientated after a crash, she agrees to help her find her missing companion in exchange for safe passage. Vesper soon discovers brutal neighbor Jonas is searching for Camellia, who harbors a life-changing secret. Forced into a dangerous adventure, Vesper must rely on her wits and biohacking abilities to unlock the key to an alternate future. I mean, there's some truths and just some crazy up in there. Like, Jonas isn't just a neighbor, it's her dad's brother. And he's not necessarily looking for Camellia. He's thinking there might be someone, but he doesn't know. Right? Yeah, there's some. These synopsises are very weird. Very weird. Now, Vesper, it's a low budget indie flick. It looks very good. Tonally, it does feel like post-apocalyptic, right? And it's one of those sci-fi films where, it's not all shiny, high-tech and all of that. There's a lot of stuff that feels very grounded, and they've thrown in some tech looks like, some 1940s thrown together stuff. But then you've got stuff that does look a little bit more cutting, right? Which I think is very smart when your budget is low, and by doing it that way, you are able to give that real kind of sense of this post-apocalyptic kind of landscape, and the remnants of humanity trying to eke out an existence after whatever happened, right? So we get all of that. We've also got these plants, right? Plants are a big thing, as their trade, right? Because we have it's a bit like Judge Dredd, all the rich people kind of live in the mega cities, right? And you've got better mega cities, and like some are rubbish, some are high end. Outside, it's catty cat world. Not the best there, not the best situations, and it's kind of like that here. There's some kind of parallels to Alex Garland's Annihilation in like the weird kind of vegetation and just all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's plants that seem to have a little life of their own. You know, some that are very dangerous, some that aren't. You don't really want to be lying around because they might try and consume you, you know? But there's a lot happening, right? Her dad, we learned that he's had, he used to be a soldier. He got injured. So he's kind of just in bed and linked up to these machines. And there's this kind of drone that follows her around, which her dad communicates with Vesper via. So it's an interesting kind of piece, right? There's, as I said, look, there's this barter system for crops and seeds, but the problem is the seeds only have one yield, which, I mean, the citadels, right? It's good for them because it means people are very reliant on them, but it's not, obviously, it's not the best. So there's this monopoly and people. And so, Darius, his brother Jonas, he runs this little kind of, I don't know, settlement, right? And things seem very, a little odd there, right? You can trade blood to him for stuff. He references, we get a reference to, it's like a bit like the Phylaxu brood mothers, it would seem. Vesper's just like, I'm not going to be one of your brood mares. Something along those lines. Anyway, she might not say brood mare, but we get the gist, right? So obviously, there's women that are being used to just breed the next population, as it were. So there's all of these kind of things going on. But they, Vesper and her dad, they live off the grid, like further out. Now, that's where it gets a little bit off, right? Because they're not living in a settlement. So obviously there's a little animosity going on. And you do get the sense of that through certain interactions with Jonas. But then we also know, right, there's, obviously in a world like this, there's going to be bandits, there's going to be security risks. But their house doesn't seem to have anything in the way of defense mechanisms, traps, like nothing whatsoever, which kind of baffles you because you're just like, all right, so for whatever reason, they decided to live apart from the main settlement, right? So her dad was a soldier. So you're thinking, right, if that's the decisions, that there would be things in place. You know what I mean? Like she would be savvy on defense. But things happen and we find out, no, that's really not the case. Really not the case. We get some weird interactions between Vesper and Jonas where it seems like he would like to fiddle her to, not make it sound too, fiddle is pretty creepy, right? But yeah, it looks like, that she's 13, remember, that he would go there. Little incest, just all that nasty, right? Which that's the vibe is, he touches her and like he's got fingers on her lips and shit like that, and it's just like, I mean, your family don't do that. You know what I mean? Just no one should be doing that to a little girl. And it's not like it's a familial thing. So you get those weird interactions. You get the sense that there's a little animosity. But repeatedly, she kind of trusts Jonas, right? Or does things where she's expecting him to, do something in a certain way. And you're just like, wait, what? No, like you wouldn't be trusting, right? That makes no sense. And then there's times with everything that we have seen, you would not give someone that information and expect them to honor anything. Like it's weird. There was these weird things that would go down, right? There's another situation, right? So they breed these humanoid things they call jugs, right? Which, yeah, you kind of get the sense they're meant to be like kind of robot type of things. There's a scene where it's just like, oh, they don't feel pain as it's screaming. You're just like, wait, what? That makes no sense. But there's a bit where someone's like, oh, that's a jug. And it's just, you're just like, what would be the signs? Because there is, as far as the viewer is concerned, there's nothing that's letting you go, oh, yeah, that must be a, right? So it's just, look, if there's things that would make you go, oh, that's fine. But unless the viewer knows, it is all a bit, Dex Machina, right? When you just suddenly out of nowhere, this is a thing, and then this is a thing, and there's a lot of that going on. Like we know the vegetation is a little off, but we don't know, that there's this vegetation that's deadly. But then all of a sudden that plays a factor in. So, there's all of these weird things that are going down, but kind of come out of the blue, which makes it a little bit odd kind of an experience. And we're led to believe that Vesper is a biohacking genius, right? Scientists can break the code, unlock, find out these secrets with the plants and just all of this, but also with human DNA out of suddenly, which is a completely different thing. You know what I mean? Just because you might be a biologist doesn't mean you can then operate on humans, right? But that's all just one of the same in this film. So there's these things that are going down, but wait, I've just lost what I was saying. Well, that was weird, wasn't it? I know it was around Vesper. Yeah. It's gone. It might come back to me. So bear with me here, people. Look, there's interactions which don't necessarily feel like the emotion is there. Like Eddie Marsden is he plays a pretty good bad guy. And it's not like the acting is terrible or anything like that, but there's these certain scenes where you feel like, oh, the emotion would be, and it's just not. It's a little flat, which, yeah, a little bit, I don't know, doesn't always work in that regard. and there's this thing where there's this something happens and then something's airborne, right? And they're like, don't breathe it in. But I'm gonna say, right, it dissipates super fast. And you're just like, things never dissipate at that speed, right? But everything is like certain things feel rushed, like with the experiments. It's all oh, we know now have this answer and we now have that answer. It's just like nothing works at that speed, right? If you're doing these experiments, you're not going to get results like instantaneously and be like, oh, well, yeah, that, blah, blah, blah. Have this weird thing about strength as well, right? There's a scene where one character is overpowered by someone, and then another scene, the one that was overpowered is holding the other one back, and you're just like, so which way is it? What are we saying? Because if you know what I mean, we're saying this person has the strength to do this, then that first scene makes no sense whatsoever, right? Yeah, I don't know, people. But it's interesting. I hated the end. I hate, like, the ending made no sense just because when you think of the commodity and the value of, you would be mad careful on what you were doing with it. So then when you have this end thing and it's just like, oh, it's like, look, I get the symbolism of what they might be trying to say, but it makes no sense in the context of this society, Also, wait, we're just gonna let her climb? You know, like that, we're just gonna let that happen? Like, yeah, seems a little odd, but it feels like it could be set up for more. It does. You do that, get that kind of sense, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's there for people who enjoy a dystopian story, right? So your Maze Runners and what is it, Divergence and that kind of thing. If you enjoy those, this is a slightly lower budget kind of that sort of tale, right? Looks great, really does. But yeah, I wasn't completely won over by the story. Did feel a little flat. Did feel like there were these elements where you'd be like, surely someone would have taken that into consideration, considering everything they must have been through, everything they must know. You know what I mean? Like there was a shock of, oh, they're trying to get us. Be like, yeah, what did you think would be happening here? Right? It's interesting. If it sounds like it's for you though, it's now available on VOD. I think it's in limited cinemas as well. So yeah, you've got different options, people, if you want to check it out. So that is a Vesper.